There was a period when nobody could miss a Jelly Roll. He had a tattooed face, a big frame, a raspy voice, and an incredibly genuine personality. His admirers knew him as the artist who publicly displayed his anguish, using every challenging experience to craft heartfelt songs. Yet, things began to shift. Suddenly, he appeared on camera or stage at an event, and everyone was taken aback. He was still there, but with a new quality. All of the tattoos were still there, and the voice was unchanged. His vitality, though, had shifted. He appeared altered. He sensed a change. It was obvious to everyone who had followed him from the country music spotlight to the underground rap scene. Did it manifest physically? Shift in perspective? Is that his music? One thing was certain, though, no one knew how it happened. A new chapter in Jelly Roll's life began with the launch of his career. Jason DeFord, better known as Jelly Roll, grew up in the Antioch area of Nashville, Tennessee. He didn't have an ideal upbringing. Both of his parents had tough lives. His dad was in the meat business and his mom was a recovering addict. Jelly Roll was both baptized and arrested in the same year that he turned 14 years old. After that, he spent the better part of a decade going in and out of prison. Multiple charges were brought against him, but he made a full recovery while incarcerated and earned his GED at the young age of 23. At the start of his career, Jelly Roll was influenced by Southern rap greats like UGK and 3 6 Mafia. Before releasing his first album, 2003's The Plain Schmear Tape, he began peddling mixtapes from the trunk of his car. He put out a series of white boy mixtapes called The Gamblin' between 2004 and 2011. His 2010 single, Pop Another Pill, which he co-wrote with Lil White, has over 6 million views on YouTube. With the victory, the group SNO took off. As the years passed, Jelly Roll kept putting out albums and mixtapes, collaborating with producers like Antec, Struggle Jennings, Haystack, and 9 He changed the title of his one tape from Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House to Whiskey, Weed and Women, and put a cease and desist notice on the cover after receiving a cease and desist letter from Waffle House. To pass the time, Jelly Roll made his Grand Ole Opry debut in November 2021 and made a triumphant comeback in 2022 to perform Almost Home at Craig Morgan's request. Dead Man Walking, his debut rock radio single, hit #1 that year as well. Son of a Sinner, his country single, reached #1 and caused a stir on multiple charts by 2023. Along with winning multiple CMT awards that year, he sold out Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. June 2023 saw the release of Wits at Chapel, his 8th studio album. His 2024 was just as eventful, with him receiving the CMA New Artist of the Year award, speaking before Congress about the dangers of fentanyl, appearing in Eminem's music video, making an appearance on SNL, and even appearing on Tulsa King as a guest star alongside Sylvester Stallone. Hard Fought Hallelujah, a collaboration with Christian artist Brandon Lake, was nominated for a K-Love Award in 2025. Amen, a smash single from Shaboozie's album Where I've Been, Isn't Where I'm Going, features him as well. Jelly Roll's incredible journey takes him from rap battles to the Grand Ole Opry, proving that second chances do exist and may sometimes lead to the world's grandest stages. Family and marriage. Jelly Roll is a man who longs for family and love, despite his scratchy tone and rugged appearance. Since 2016, he has been wed to Alyssa DeFord, who is popularly known as Bunny XO on social media. Their connection is unique in every way. It's based on growing and learning together for decades, so it's raw and honest. Jelly Roll and Bunny were both overcoming obstacles when they initially crossed paths. However, they discovered a source of strength and comfort in one another. They did not have a flawless relationship. It was one of supporting each other no matter what. Over the years, they evolved from being just husband and wife to becoming true lifelong companions. The couple reaffirmed their marriage vows in 2023, 7 years after the first, attesting to the deepening of their love. Beautiful as it was, it symbolized their progress and their commitment to a future together. The positive impact Bunny has had on Jelly Roll's life is something he brings up time and time again. Through the ups and downs of his professional and personal life, she has been by his side. Furthermore, she has fostered his development into the person he is now by taking him under her wing. From behind the scenes to the red carpet, Bunny has always been there for him, offering words of encouragement, support, and reassurance. When it comes to his kids, Jelly Roll's devotion to family shines through. He and Bunny live together full-time, and he has 2 children from previous relationships, a daughter and a boy, about whom he talks more privately. Raising their kid with an abundance of love, patience, and understanding, Jelly Roll and Bunny share full custody. Jelly Roll's affection for his children shines through even if he keeps a low profile online. He has been forthright about how his daughter was a major motivating factor in his decision to change his life, even if his journey as a father has been fraught with difficulty due to his past struggles. Becoming a father instilled a new sense of purpose in his life and provided him the strength to persevere. Being famous or trying too hard is never an issue in Jelly Roll's household. It's about getting better, growing into himself, and being there for the people that matter most to him. His family has been there for him through thick and thin, and that has paid dividends. Faith. Although Jelly Roll's life has been full of unexpected twists and turns, his return to faith has been particularly moving. He largely ignored religious matters for a long time. He actually felt estranged from it. His relationship with God had broken down, as it was inevitable given his troubled upbringing, addiction, incarceration, and various personal demons. For a long time, he avoided church because he thought it was more judgmental than loving. At the age of 39, though, things started to change. It was completely unintentional. Initiation came from his 14-year-old daughter. He was contacted by her, and she informed him that she desired to be baptized. At first, he was completely taken aback. At this stage in his life, Jelly Roll jokes, "I should go see what kind of cult she's going to," according to his perception of religion. Something unfamiliar, maybe even strange. However, an unexpected event transpired when he ultimately chose to go with her to the chapel. He sat there, unconcerned or judged, watching his daughter play with her pals. Instead, something genuine sunk in. He said it helped him remember what's important: hospitality, empathy, pardon, and fellowship. Being flawless or following regulations weren't important. It dealt with human nature and love. Jelly Roll had a slight but significant metamorphosis that day. In an interview from the year 2025, he summed it up perfectly. "I may not always wear it in the same way that other people do, but at my core, I love God and Jesus." Being true, in his view, did not need changing who he was. It entailed re-establishing a connection with a power higher than himself, resolving past grievances, practicing greater grace, and being the kind of guy he always wanted to be were all part of it. The fact that Jelly Roll's faith revival occurred unprompted is what makes it so captivating. It sprang from the depths of affection. Being a part of his daughter's journey to faith reconnected him with something he had forgotten he needed. Now faith is an integral part of his spiritual, bodily, and musical rehabilitation. Speaking out in the U.S., Jelly Roll has performed on arenas that are among the biggest in the world. Instead of performing a concert or accepting an award in 2024, he stepped onto a different stage, the United States Senate. Not only was he an artist, but he had also seen the worst parts of the opioid crisis, so he testified from the depths of his soul. He spoke in favor of Senator Tim Scott's Fend-Off Fentanyl Act before the Senate Committee on Housing, Banking, and Urban Affairs. Fentanyl is becoming an increasingly serious problem in the United States, and this bill aims to combat this crisis by taking action. This epidemic has killed many people and is destroying families on a daily basis. Being a former member of that problem, Jelly Roll felt he had something significant to contribute. His words were sincere, profound, and unfiltered. He was forthright about his background, saying, "I brought my community down," he addressed the legislators. "Many people have been injured by me. I was the uneducated guy in the kitchen, acting like a chemist with substances I had no idea what I was doing." The mistakes he made as a young man, including selling and mixing drugs, put people in danger, and he discussed them at length. He's shown a great deal of remorse and, more importantly, a strong desire to help restore what he had once helped ruin. His testimony was very convincing because of its sincerity. He wasn't trying to be polished or recite lines from a script. Being genuine, forthright, and enthusiastic was all he was doing. After fentanyl took the lives of so many people in his neighborhood, he spoke with senators about his want to be involved in the solution right away to help stop the drug spread. That Senate day was a watershed moment in Jelly Roll's development. Now that he has overcome his addiction and put his past behind him, he is a powerful advocate for reform, fighting for the rights of others who are still affected. Like most artists, he finds a way to channel his pain into something meaningful. Jelly Roll demonstrated that change is attainable and, at times, may alter everything by standing before lawmakers and sharing his experience. His criminal history and prior incarcerations. Serious legal troubles plagued Jelly Roll's life long before he became a famous musician. Encountered the criminal justice system for the first time when he was 14 years old. That first arrest sent him on a path that would take him to prison multiple times over the next decade, a period that would be one of the most difficult of his life. Several significant offenses, including armed robbery, burglary, and drug possession, led to his arrest during his teenage years and early adulthood. While appearing on The Jay Shetty Show, Jelly Roll revealed that he committed an armed robbery when he was 15 years old. Not long ago, and it's still bothering him now. There was no logic to what I did, he said, describing his thoughtless and impulsive behavior at the time. He felt compelled to apologize to his victims after the incident, admitting that he didn't fully understand the impact of his actions until much later. His transgressions were not daydreams. He was incarcerated multiple times for drug-related offenses, including possession with intent to distribute. It was during one of his interviews when Jelly Roll revealed his incredibly egotistical, self-centered, and insane life at the time. He was hurting not just himself, but also those around him and society as a whole. Over the course of his time behind bars, Jelly Roll was no stranger to serving extended sentences. In his late teens and early 20s, he spent the most of his time behind jail due to his string of infractions. He has discussed how his time in prison nearly became routine. Anything that was anticipated of him, and from which he couldn't perceive an alternative escape route when it occurred. Violent conflict, political upheaval, and the will to live marked these years. There are many unpleasant truths about Jelly Roll's past that he makes no effort to hide, such as the times he combined narcotics without understanding the danger or resorted to thefts out of despair and uncertainty. Before he became famous, his life was a misery spiral of crime, incarceration, and suffering. In 2024, Jelly Roll was silenced on social media due to an onslaught of negative comments about his weight and cyberbullying. The constant online criticism of his weight eventually got to him, as his wife Bunny XO confessed. She revealed on her Bumbling Blonde podcast and subsequently on TikTok that Jelly Roll has removed himself from the internet due to the constant harassment and bullying he endures because of his weight. Her honest and openness moved others. Although it may be easy for fans to assume that famous people can simply shrug off criticism, she stressed that this was far from the case. Several news outlets, including TMZ, Page 6, and The Independent, confirmed the story. Keeping himself out of the spotlight online was less crucial than maintaining his sanity. The pain he felt was described on Page 6, along with Bunny's description of him as the most adorable angel baby. He had felt the effects of the pessimism. He also said on people that while preparing for a 5K, he had shed almost 70 pounds. However, it was still insufficient to deter trolls from leaving hateful remarks. Although he started out his fitness adventure as a personal challenge, running 2 or 3 miles every day and using saunas and cold plunges, the negative comments soon overshadowed the positive progress. He finally left Instagram, then Twitter, and other networks in April 2024 due to the pressure. Jelly Roll was defended by Flavor Flav and others. The internet can be so nasty, a Reddit user wrote in response to one of the world's kindest men. Social media abuse can rip at a person's psyche no matter how strong or accomplished they are. His experience was a sobering reminder of this. Everyone can hear Bunny's message. Nobody should ever have to hide because someone was rude to them online. Possible trademark litigation. A scenario unfolded in April 2024 about a wedding band from Pennsylvania called Jelly Roll, one word, filed a lawsuit against country music artist Jason DeFord, better known as Jelly Roll. Kurt Teichel first used the name for his wedding band in the 1980s, and he copyrighted it in 2010 and then renewed it in 2019. On April 8th, they filed a complaint in federal court in Philadelphia, claiming that the name belonged to them and that the pop bubble of singer Jelly Roll was stifling their visibility, especially on Google. When looking for Jelly Roll prior to the lawsuit, the wedding band would be displayed most prominently. After that, there was no indication of a band until after 18 to 20 mentions to the singer. Customers were confused by the singer's name, according to the lawsuit. Their worst nightmare was that event planners would choose the incorrect Jelly Roll, ruining their brand and bottom line. The band Jelly Roll went so far as to say that the singer's felony conviction and prison time had brought a negative light on them, had caused additional harm to the company's image. The band's legal team sought a restraining order to prevent Jason DeFord from continuing to act under the name Jelly Roll or one confusingly similar. Efforts to resolve the matter peacefully were unsuccessful after sending a cease and desist letter in February. Thus, they proceeded to court. However, by July 2024, it had changed its course. The wedding ring willingly decided to withdraw from the case. They announced their intention to continue using their name and said the matter was settled. The court filings failed to disclose any formal settlement, despite their suggestion of a friendly accord. So far, Jelly Roll's legal team has remained silent. Name rights, branding, and the impact of a company's internet presence were all topics of conversation after this brief but heated legal dispute. The wedding ring was adamant about protecting its name, even if Jelly Roll was extremely popular. And in the end, they both came out of it with their names intact. reviewing his music and persona with critical eyes. Jelly Roll's moving tales and ability to move listeners from hip-hop to country have made him a popular figure. But there are some who do not approve. His critics, especially on Reddit, often argue that his success stems from an emotional connection more than originality in his songs. This opinion reflects a bigger criticism. One commenter said simply in response to our unpopular thought. Critics claim that, rather than focusing on originality, he intentionally appeals to country and rap fans. Several conversations on your Oriak country music site, on the other hand, addressed the same concerns. Someone admitted to enjoying him on an individual level, but said they totally agree. He seems like a great guy. Rap country makes me gag. A third one was direct. A passing fad. He will not last long. In my opinion, he could be a one-hit wonder. These complaints paint him in a negative light, claiming that his music is overplayed in radio and crossovers. His music is terrible, and he clearly lacks talent, according to one of them. His songs, according to some listeners, return on themes of redemption and human pain, but they lack musicianship and vocal refinement. There isn't much depth or complexity to the lyrics, one person noted plainly. Also lacks originality and creativity in the music. As an additional note, the music is very uniform in style. Thoughtful plot, but a touch overblown. On other websites, you can find even more critical comments. According to one commentator, actual turds like Jelly Roll, who couldn't be cornier, are the ones who really ruin our music. He resembles a feral pit bull. Not everyone feels this way, even with those forceful statements. Even if they don't particularly care for his musical taste, some listeners appreciate his unfiltered honesty and intense emotions. The riches he possessed. Since his humble beginnings in the business world, Jelly Roll has come a long way. After starting at around $1 million a few years ago, his net worth has skyrocketed to around $16 million by mid-2025, according to Celebrity Net Worth. That tremendous growth is based on a wide range of factors. Tours and live performances bring in a lot of money for him. He has been the featured performer on several massive tours, including the Beautifully Broken Tour and the Backroad Baptism Tour in 2023. And in 2025, they will share the stage with Post Malone as headliner. These performances consistently bring in millions of dollars from sold-out arenas and stadiums. Another reliable source of income is the sale and streaming of music. Some of his albums, such Beautifully Broken and Wits at Chapel, have topped the charts. In fact, Wits at Chapel debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. He has made at least $3.4 million from his music videos alone, thanks to the almost 2 billion views his songs have on YouTube. Rumor has it that he makes over $1.3 million per year on Pandora and over $360,000 each year on Spotify. Jelly Roll makes a respectable living from their music and the sale of clothing, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, caps, and more, both at live performances and online. The inclusion of a social media presence is still another factor. His commercials on YouTube bring in a lot of money. He allegedly made almost $2 million via YouTube in just 1 year, according to accounts. Earnings could be boosted by brand collaborations and sponsorships, thanks to his massive following base on social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Also, he's going into business by himself. Reportedly, he has a collection of high-end automobiles, invested in real estate, including a Nashville residence, and launched his own record company. Based on his consistent revenue from streaming, touring, merchandise, YouTube, sponsorship partnerships, and real estate, some sites conservatively estimate him at $10 to $12 million. However, his soaring multi-platform profits align with the most reliable estimate of $16 million. It all started with mixtapes sold from a car and has since blossomed into a vibrant and successful company. The various sources of revenue for Jelly Roll include concerts, streaming, merchandise, social media, partnerships, and investments. Proof that he is succeeding rather than just surviving. A shift in appearance that caught everyone by surprise. Jelly Roll's remarkable weight loss metamorphosis captivated viewers to no end. After experiencing multiple health scares in early 2023, he resolved to improve his health. In an interview with Jimmy Kimmel Live